Hey everybody, it's Ashley Richardson back with another video, and that's Miss Richardson to you if you are a student watching. And today we are doing something different. We are making a savory dish, and today's dish will be creamy Parmesan pork chops. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's get into some of these ingredients. Not a lot that we're using, very simple, fresh ingredients that I think are gonna turn out really, really well. This recipe calls for 5 thick cut boneless pork chops. I have 4 thick cut boneless pork chops, and I'm going to use my boneless pork loin chop. These are my butcher box chops. In previous recipes, I've talked about my butcher box proteins. I love them. So I have 4 boneless pork loin chops, and I'm going to use those. It calls for mushrooms. So I have some sliced mushrooms here, 1 clove of garlic, a block of Parmesan cheese, which I will grate, a half of an onion, baby spinach, pasta, because we're going to put the pork chops and Alfredo sauce over pasta. Now, of course, this is not Alfredo. Whatever pasta you choose to use, this is just what I had in my pantry. When I make spaghetti, I love using angel hair pasta, and I have developed a mild allergy to tomato-based products, and so we're gonna do a white sauce today. So this was intentionally purchased for like regular red spaghetti sauce, just pasta, but we're gonna do a white sauce today. And then just the holy grail of seasonings. If you know me, if you've had anything that I have cooked, you have had these 4 seasonings. It doesn't matter what it is. And so we're gonna have some garlic powder, onion powder. There we go, onion powder, there we go. Black pepper and salt. And this is pretty much, oh yes, and then I have heavy cream, and it's in the refrigerator. And so heavy cream, of course, for the Alfredo sauce. So here are all of our ingredients. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just kind of take care of the little things so that when we're ready to cook the pork chops and make the sauce, everything is prepared. And I think on Top Chef, they call this mise en place. I think that's what it's called. So we're gonna grate the cheese. If you have a fresh block of cheese, it always melts better in sauces. Now, of course, I'm not a cheese snob like that. So if you don't have fresh Parmesan cheese, by all means, use it in the bag. It won't melt as well as the freshly grated cheese will. So if you can get your hands on some fresh Parmesan cheese, get you a block and go ahead and grate it yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this onion. And like I said, this is half an onion. I'm going to mince this garlic, and so we're going to take care of that, and then we're going to get into searing these pork chops. So as you can see here, I have my full block of Parmesan cheese that I grated, They are the sliced mushrooms that I showed you from the pack earlier. Here is the half onion and 1 clove of garlic. And then I have my pork chops. I have rinsed them and dried them. Now we're going to season them. And the recipe that I found online just says salt and pepper. But like I said, I put onion and garlic powder on everything. So now we're gonna season both sides of the pork chops with salt, pepper, onion, and garlic powder. And just like that, we have seasoned our pork chops. Now we are ready to sear our pork chops. I just have an electric frying pan here. This frying pan has been in our family for years. I've watched my mom cook many a delicious meal in this frying pan, and she let me have it, and I love it. I can do everything here on my countertop. So to sear the pork chops is going to call for 1 tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of oil. It says vegetable oil. I'm sure you can use vegetable oil or olive oil. So turn that down just a little bit. And what we're gonna do is that we're going to sear the pork chops for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. What I love about this frying pan is that it's larger and I can fit more meat in the pan. All right, so we're gonna sear these for 3 to 4 minutes, and then we'll flip and sear for another 3 to 4 minutes on the other side. It's been right at 3 minutes for this side, and you just wanna cook it until it just has a little brown. We're not cooking it all the way through because eventually these pork chops will go into the Alfredo sauce and finish cooking in the sauce. So if you look here, see that nice, pretty brown color? That's what you're looking for. And 3 to 4 minutes is all you'll need. All right, so the pork chops are done for now. This is what they look like on both sides, and I have a plate over here that I'm just going to transfer the chops to. So that's what you see me doing. I want you to see what they look like on both sides. These pork chops smell divine. Okay. And that's what you want them to look like. Now, using the same oil, and I have plenty of oil left in the pan, I am now going to add my vegetables. I'm going to add my onions and my mushrooms, and I'm gonna season them with the same 4 seasonings. So, and I love mushrooms, so I'm going to cook all of these mushrooms. And you just want to cook them until they're soft and the onions are translucent, because this will be added into the Alfredo sauce. Okay. So let's add our seasonings here. Black pepper. Can never have too much black pepper, especially when it's McCormick's. Now you can have too much salt, so salt, garlic powder, and onion powder. Yes, I season my onions with onion powder. Everything gets seasoned. And we're just gonna cook these for a few minutes, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. just until they're soft. We can already begin to see that the onions are translucent. We're getting there. So I'm gonna let these cook down, and then we'll be ready to make our Alfredo sauce. Okay, the onions and the mushrooms are a beautiful color, and we're going to transfer those to the same plate that we put the pork chops on. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna turn this down just a smidge. Now, to be perfectly honest, I could eat these mushrooms and onions. I could eat a plate of these. Oh, sauteed mushrooms and onions, yum. Get back here, mushroom. Runaway shroom. So it's nice and clear and ready for the Alfredo sauce. And while we are doing the Alfredo sauce, while it's when we're ready to put the pork chops in the sauce, that's when I'm gonna go ahead and boil the pasta. So I know you're thinking, where are you gonna put the pasta on to boil? We'll do that while the pork chops are simmering in the sauce. Now it's time to make our creamy Alfredo sauce. And I'm going to do, I have 4 tablespoons of butter here. 4 tablespoons of butter. Oh gosh, the butter just flew everywhere. And that minced garlic that I had earlier, I'm gonna add that to the butter and let that cook for about a minute. Okay. So I'm gonna let that garlic cook down. Gosh, I probably should have done like 2. I love garlic, and I could have definitely added another clove of garlic. Okay, oh, that smells so good. Okay, so we're gonna let that cook for a minute. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of flour, and of course this is our thickening agent. And we're gonna let that cook for about another minute. Okay. So we have our garlic, our butter, and our flour. And we just want the flour to cook until the white is gone. Now, the recipe that I saw only called for a cup of heavy cream and half a cup of chicken broth or chicken stock. I want more Alfredo than that, so I'm gonna double. And I'm going to add in a full cup of chicken broth, and I'm gonna do 2 cups of heavy cream. Okay, and we see the, y'all, this smells so good already. Okay, so now I just have some cooking stock, chicken cooking stock, and I'm gonna do a full cup of that. You know what, let me get my whisk. Okay, and now we're going to add 2 cups of heavy cream, and I'm just using this heavy cream here. 1 and 2. Okay. Just gonna whisk that for a little bit. I'm also going to add some garlic powder and onion powder to this, and probably about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I don't want to add a whole lot of salt simply because once we add the cheese, you know, cheese has a natural saltiness to it, but of course you taste it and you season it to your taste level. Okay, so before I add the cheese, just looking at my hand here, just a little salt, not a lot. And yes, there's garlic in here, but I'm adding more garlic powder. And some onion powder. Just gonna whisk that together. Smells so good. Now I'm gonna slowly add in the Parmesan cheese. And while I'm adding in the cheese, I'm going to turn the heat all the way down because I don't want my sauce to separate, and the residual heat will, you see how quickly that melted? And gonna mix that in there. And I'm gonna reserve some of the Parmesan cheese for garnish at the end. So save some of that Parmesan cheese so that you can use as garnish at the end. So it's always good to watch the video all the way through because I introduced the ingredients in the beginning. Clearly I forgot to talk about the flour and the chicken stock. So it's always good to watch the videos to the end. And of course I will have the ingredients in the description box. Okay. And this really all an Alfredo sauce is cream, seasonings, butter, and Parmesan cheese. Yum, yum, yum. And look at that, y'all. I'm gonna get a spoon and I'm gonna taste it just to make sure that the seasoning is to my liking. That's delicious. Had a little milk left over in my cup. That's so good. Okay. So if you ever want to make an Alfredo sauce, it does not take a lot. Very simple. A lot better than what's store-bought. And I'm not hating on store-bought because you all know I do canned and store-bought things all the time. But anytime that you can make your own sauces is always better. Okay, so I'm gonna put just this last little bit of Parmesan cheese in, and like I said, I'm gonna reserve some for garnish. That cooked down. All right, so for the finishing touches for this, we're gonna go ahead and add back in the pork chops and the mushrooms and the onions. We're gonna add that in. We're gonna also add in about 2 cups of spinach, and we're gonna let the pork chops cook all the way through. And while we're waiting on the pork chops to cook through, we're gonna go ahead and put the pasta on to boil, and we are almost ready to eat. I'm gonna turn the heat back up here so that the pork chops can cook. And I'm gonna add the vegetables in. And I'm gonna add in the spinach, and then we're gonna cover this up, let it simmer, and we will be ready to boil our pasta. And this is probably more like 3 cups of spinach. Well, I don't know, it could be. I think I'm just gonna add all this spinach, a full container. The spinach is already pre-rinsed and washed and ready to go. So I put the full container of the spinach in. All right, we're gonna let this cook down. We're going to cover it so that it can cook on through, and let's boil our pasta. Now, if you've seen one person boil pasta, you've seen a million people boil pasta. It's not rocket science. It doesn't take that much. This is just regular water. I only had a little bit of that chicken stock left over, so I'm gonna add that to the water so that the pasta can cook in that. The only thing that I'm gonna say is never just boil your pasta with plain water. I'm gonna also add some salt, and we're gonna let the pasta cook in the salted water. Some people, I have used Better Than Bouillon. Let me adjust the camera here. I have used Better Than Bouillon. Like, if you've seen my macaroni and cheese video, if you haven't, it's a very, very popular video. Go and check out my homemade creamy macaroni and cheese video. But in that video, I think I actually boiled the pasta, the elbow noodles, with Better Than Bouillon, maybe some chicken stock. I honestly, I can't remember. But just as long as you just don't do it with plain water, that's all it really takes, because we don't want to put this nice flavorful sauce over bland pasta. Okay, so I'm gonna add the pasta in. We're gonna let that boil to al dente, and we'll be ready to plate our dish. The pasta is ready. The pork chops and the veggies are ready. I'm gonna let you see what this looks like. It looks so good, y'all. Look how creamy that is. The spinach has completely cooked down. I checked the pork chops, they are cooked through. I did add just a little bit more salt for flavor, but we are ready to put the pasta in a bowl, and we're gonna put the pork chops and onions and mushrooms and spinach on top. I'm gonna put a little parsley on top just for presentation. There's a video, a channel that I follow called The Danny Rose, and she calls parsley food grass. I do not have fresh parsley, but we are ready for our taste test. So I have a ½ tablespoon of butter in my pasta. Per usual, everything is going to get seasoned. Just a little salt. I'm tickled at myself. A little onion powder. A little garlic powder. Some black pepper. And I'm going to put the warm sauce over this, and we can just kind of toss it a little bit, and then the butter will melt. And don't worry, y'all, I plan on eating much more than this. This is just for presentation now. Okay. Oh, that's my mom at the door. We can taste together. Hold on, I'm gonna call y'all right back. Okay, so we're going to take our pork chops and our sauce, and we're going to add it on. I'm gonna start off first just by adding some of this creamy sauce. Look how creamy that is. I'm gonna add some of the sauce to the pasta first, so that I get a nice coating on the pasta. And I'm going to add that on top. I'm going to do a sprinkle of Parmesan cheese across the top. And a little food grass. Just for presentation purposes. And we are ready to taste.
Ready.
Thank you. Mama, say hello to the camera.
Is that ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I'm Ashley's mom.
You all have seen her in my videos before, and so she just got here, and she is going to give her opinion as well. Okay, go ahead, Mama.
All right, let's cut into this nice thick chop that she has here. Oh, that's nice and tender. Okay, and we're gonna try it. Just gonna lay that right there. Let's try that chop. I've got a little spinach. Oh my goodness, that is delicious. That is so tender, flavorful. Oh my goodness. Let's try a little pasta. Okay. Oh my goodness. That is absolutely delicious.
So you think it's a 2 thumbs up, Mama?
Oh yes.
And this is my
love it.
first time trying this. First time trying the recipe today.
That is delicious.
Okay, the moment we have all been waiting for, our taste test. Get one more look there. The pork chops, spinach. We have sauteed mushrooms, onions, and pasta seasoned with the holy grail of seasonings, the onion powder, the garlic powder, the salt, the pepper, and I did put half a tablespoon of butter. Lord bless this meal I'm about to receive. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, here we go. That is so good. Get a mushroom. Fresh mushrooms. I wanted to taste the sauce first. Now let's get a pork chop. The pork chop is very tender. Absolutely delicious. That is so good. This is a definite must try. The sauce is simple to make. Cooking the pork chops was easy. You all saw me do everything in the electric skillet right there at the countertop. Okay, let's get, I want a piece of pork chop, mushroom. I'm trying to get everything in on one bite. Okay. My mom is sitting at the kitchen table laughing at me because the faces and the sounds that I'm making. You all have got to try this recipe. It is so flavorful. It's so tasty. The pork chops cooked perfectly. The sauce is good. It's not overbearing. Everything just comes together perfectly in your mouth. Okay, so we've come to the end of another video. Thank you so much for just spending a little bit of time with me here today. Again, my name is Ashley Richardson, and that's Miss Richardson to you if you are a student watching. And I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Bye.